indestructible. Don't be alarmed.
You're supposed to be dead!
Headquarters suggest there might be a fashion model murderer roaming the streets of Milan.
She was probably murdered. The mechanics of the crash don't add up to suicide. There were no skid marks. One of the rubber spikes was taken out, and a steel one was put in its place. This is what pierced the girl's neck.
I want to feel the blade inside the lens. Do you understand?
Yes, I know.
It's just that you're not trying, goddammit.
Don't you realize that there's someone out there who's out to kill everyone who was at your house that night? Just like Sylvia. Just like Leslie. Alex, who is it? I don't understand. What do they want from us? Do you realize that we're the only two left from that night? Who's gonna be next? You or me?
Calm down.
The photo lab just sent it over. The picture that was taken when Alex Conti was killed.
Hi people, this is Giovanni Lombardo Radice from Stage Fright, and you are listening to the Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to the Hysteria Continues, and this time we're heading over to Rome and Milan for Too Beautiful to Die, the follow-up to the 1985 giallo hit Nothing Underneath. We're very excited to be joined by friend of the show, Mike Connolly. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Very excited to talk about Too Beautiful to Die.
Excellent. And I just out of interest, I mean, this is kind of my choice, but I know it's something that you were keen for us to cover on the show. Can you just give a little capsule about, is this a film that you enjoy, or is it a film you wanted to rip apart, or what was your motivation for thinking of this movie?
It's a film I very much enjoy, and like I've heard you guys talk about, these later 80s giallos are something I've really, really come to in the past handful of years. The dry ice, the neon colors, the models, the settings, especially movies like Delirium, Nothing Underneath, Arabella, Black Angel. These have become repeat viewings for me, whereas when I was younger, 20 years ago, more high school, I was looking for, more gore, more Dario Argento, Deep Red. And I, of course, still love those movies, but I have found that something like Too Beautiful to Die is a movie I could just watch on repeat these days. So I am very into it and very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'd look forward to hearing more of your thoughts as we go on. Just to let everyone know, Nathan couldn't join us today because he had something he had to attend to this morning, but he will be back on the next show, so no worries there. But Erik, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and I'm too beautiful to die. I think you'll agree.
Well, someone had to make that joke, and that's probably the funniest joke you've made so far.
How rude. It's a good thing my soundboard is working today.
Yeah, well. Oh dear. So apologies, Mike. I'm sure you're probably used to this by now.
And I am actually really surprised that you guys don't do videos so you can see how beautiful Erik looks. and maybe that's by design. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a mixture of things, isn't it, Erik? There's only so many filters, isn't there? So anyway, Joseph, how are you doing?
You dirty nun fucker.
You can't speak to me like that!
Are you done, Erik?
Yep, continue.
Because I was going to let you just keep going, because I'm too beautiful to live.
Ooh.
I'm sure there'll be more puns as we go along, but Mike, as you probably know, in time-honoured tradition, we tend to talk about what we've been watching recently. So do you want to tell us, is there anything you've seen that you'd like to tell us about?
Oh, absolutely. Been watching a lot of stuff and been catching up with some movies that you guys have done episodes on that I hadn't caught when the episode came out. And one of those is Strip to Kill. This one is, again, like I said, I love the dry ice. I love the burning neon colors and the sleaziness, the trashiness. And this one has it all. Kind of like it was said in the episode, I don't know if this is something I'd put up as a slasher when I'm in the mood to watch something like Friday the 13th. But when I'm in the mood to watch a million strip scenes bathed in eye-burning neon light, this one was great. And I really did enjoy this one. And I know Erik was particularly into this one, if I recall.
Yes, I do recall it being quite good. Now, I have a memory like a goldfish, so I can't really remember a huge amount apart from that the lead actress from House was in it in a surprisingly taking her clothes off kind of role. But I can't remember a lot otherwise.
Right. Yeah, it is a great one. And I'm sure it is strange for you guys when people hear episodes and I can remember what you guys say, but I'm sure an hour after you record, you don't remember what you talked about.
Yep. Oh, yes.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I did. I really dug that one. Also, Fatal Games.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, what an incredible one. This is like, this really, really got into this one. I always knew the theme song, of course, but man, what a great 80s slasher that is just, I love the sports slashers, right? Graduation Day. Fatal Games might edge it out, though. I do like both, but Fatal Games is a real standout for sure.
Well, it's kind of Vinegar Syndrome are doing the Lord's work, aren't they, with those kind of sort of taking those older films and finding the best elements for them. And a lot of other boutique labels are doing them as well. And we've we just recorded actually the other day for a commentary for another very little seen slasher movie, which you can't talk about yet. But
we've got 2 of them from Vinegar Syndrome coming out, actually.
Do we?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back. We've recorded the second one, have we?
Yeah. Yesterday.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do. I know which one you mean now, yes.
So welcome to the Hysteria Continues Bewilderment
we've been doing this for so long. It really does just kind of bleed together sometimes.
Yeah, you're right, Mike, though. Sometimes we kind of we have to sort of think back and sort of make sure we don't actually pick a film we've already covered. And some films, maybe cough, Nathan type films, I kind of barely remember. I have to listen back to actually see if we actually covered it. So I can't believe that when I'm watching it, I've never seen it before.
What is it, 12 years now? Or 13?
13, I think, yeah.
Yeah, there's zero chance that you could actually remember every single thing you did.
No, but it's probably sometimes for the best, I think.
And I was talking to a friend, too, the idea that when we were hunting for so many of these movies back in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd come across one finally and matron, please, sorry for coming across. But it was so exciting and there was this hunt and you'd go for it and you finally get it. Now you could, almost anybody could pop on one of these streaming sites and chances are they're going to have the most obscure movie that we would back in the day would have heard of, saw a crappy VHS of. I mean, something like Strip to Kill, you could just, it's on Prime. You could go put it on. Something like Don't Open Till Christmas, like one of the trashiest, sleaziest, craziest Christmas slashers, is just available for literally anybody to watch, which is really cool. So an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, whatever, getting into these movies has access to everything now, which is pretty shocking. And that's only really in the past handful of years that it's just all crazy available, which is, it's wild to think about.
Even the movie we're talking about today, Too Beautiful to Die, I'm like, you know what? I need to see this movie, obviously. So Tubi, there it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I was telling people I was doing this, and I was like, if you haven't seen it, I checked to see if it was on anything. And yeah, Tubi's crazy, so it's pretty wild. But yeah, so Strip to Kill, Fatal Games, absolutely fantastic. Classed it up a little bit, had a couple Nathanians, and had been in a Hitchcock zone, and watched Rope, which is one that had been a while since I'd seen, a really long time actually, probably, maybe 2 decades. And that is such an incredible one. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, not for a while, but I did actually watch a documentary on Rope on YouTube the other day, so that kind of refreshed my memory.
Oh, I'll have to check that out because, yeah, really loved it. Anyone who hasn't seen it, it's the Hitchcock movie that's it obviously technically couldn't be done in one shot for the time because of the having to change film, but it's a real time movie that starts with the murder, and then the murderers have this party where they invite the murdered, his family, his fiance, all these people, and then the movie is the party in the apartment, and it's so incredible. With the set looks incredible, and then even the outside the windows, the sky changes, and it's clearly a set sky, but it changes as the movie goes on. And I think there's only 6 or 7 cuts, however many technical cuts there had to be to make it, but it was a real standout, and I always remember loving that one, and it's still really great. So yeah, definitely rewatch that if you get a chance. Kind of horror related, really got into the Luigi Cozzi Hercules movies.
Okay, how many did you make of those?
Is it 2, is it?
Yeah, it's 2, right? It's Hercules and then Hercules 2.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These are beyond bonkers. Eric, you've seen these, right?
I have, yeah. Not for a while, but I do recall them being very strange, and also having that sort of Star Crash lo-fi special effects in them that made them all the more charming.
Dude, yeah. And they look so great, and they're just... the effects are piled on top of each other. There's sets, there's blue screen or whatever he's using, layered onto other weird effects from the 80s. That I love movies that overreach their technical ability, and these two are right up there. These are amazing. And actually, after we watched these, threw on Clash of the Titans, which is obviously like the big budget version of what these movies were inspired by, the Italian version. And I have to say, the Hercules movies to me look better. Like I actually thought the effects I was like way more into them than, I mean, Clash of Titans is great too, but the Hercules movies are incredible. Luigi Cozzi's what an insane director.
Mm.
And then I am a big fan of Nathan Picks. I am a big Blood Lake fan. I am a big Sledgehammer fan. I love Shot on Video, and was watching a few recently. The Tales from the Quad Dead Zone. Do you guys know this one?
No.
I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is.
So this one it's nuts. It's mid-'80s, Shot on Video, a quote-unquote anthology. It's 2 stories with the wraparound. It's only 60 minutes. I would be shocked if you guys didn't find anything to enjoy with this. This is total insanity. There's really no real way to describe Tales from the Quad Dead Zone other than you do just need to see it. Massacre Video has done it, a couple of issues of it, and they've done Hack-O-Lantern and some other very Nathan specific movies, 555, Spine. But Tales from the Quad Dead Zone it's because it's 60 minutes too, it does zip by. And I know that sometimes Shot on Videos, even at 60 minutes, can go slow. This one is not one of those. So I could see you guys maybe getting subjected to this. It's definitely not a slasher, but maybe on the Patreon. But maybe I'm giving Nathan ideas, but we'll see.
Nathan's got enough ideas as it is. When you find out what his next pick's the one coming up, isn't it?
Is it Sledgehammer?
Oh well, we've recorded Sledgehammer. So what was
right.
it? No, who's a Sledgehammer? Was that
we don't
Nathan?
even know, do we?
Can't even remember. God, we're so together.
So this episode would be yours. So Eric's would be next. As far as recording, we haven't released Nathan's next yet. Nathan's is next to be released.
Yeah, so we have covered Sledgehammer, so that is coming up next. Spoiler alert. But we've also, I think there was talk of another Shot on Video masterpiece, which will be being chosen soon.
Oh no!
I got one more, which is Shot on Video, but I was curious if Joseph has seen this one because it's a Shot on Video action movie, and that's Lost Faith. Have you seen this?
Yes,
Joseph?
I have seen Lost Faith. It's
Are
amazing. Yes,
it is incredible.
Yes, I love it.
Oh my God, Justin or Eric, have you guys seen this?
No, haven't heard of it.
No, it's not a David A. Pryor one, is it?
No, it's this guy Joel Weinkopf, who was a part of this Florida Shot on Video 8mm, 16mm scene in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Tim Ritter movies, like Truth or Dare or
Yes,
Wicked
yeah.
Games. Yeah, he's related to those. So, and Tim Ritter has a cameo in this, but this is just a total action movie. The guy, took it's end of the 80s, so he was taking karate classes or whatever the discipline would have been in the 80s, and he shows off his skills. There's a lot of other karate. I would assume people that were in his class or his instructors in the movie. It is totally nuts, and I also love too that the idea that there were two very much personal projects in the late 80s in Florida based around martial arts, Lost Faith and Miami Connection being made, roughly within years of each other. Two of the great movies. When a movie is made in Florida, you got something special. But Lost Faith, highly recommended. And that Saturn's Core label, that Vinegar Syndrome, it's one of their sub-labels, did it not too long ago. And yeah, I'm psyched to hear you like it, Joseph, because I watched it and I had a feeling you'd be into it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely one of my favorites of that shot on video era. Obviously Nathan likes those shot on video movies more than the rest of us.
Right.
Some of them you kind of cling on to, like Boarding House, but for the most part, I don't know. I think maybe Erik said this before in the past, but I don't know. It's just something about those movies, even though they could be charming, there's just something about them that's kind of off-putting. And I don't know what it is about it, so I don't really follow the genre or the sub-genre as much as I should. But yeah, Lost Faith is just so bonkers. It's really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend checking that one out.
Well, thank you, Mike. It sounds like you've been watching a lot. It's probably more than we have, because I know that we've been sort of hard at work on commentaries and stuff. But Erik, have you seen anything you want to tell us about?
Not since we recorded last, now.
Okay. And what about you, Joseph?
Well, I have about 50 movies I watched this week, obviously. No, I have got nothing again.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple of things that I haven't. I've watched a Nepalese slasher movie called Zigarana from, I think it's about sort of 2000, mid 2000s, 2015. Sorry, which is I was very curious to see like a Nepalese slasher movie, because although I've seen a fair share of sort of Indian sort of Bollywood and Tollywood. So I actually think it is that Tollywood? I get mixed up with all the different versions. But anyway, one's from Nepal.
There's Nollywood. I don't know about Tollywood. Where was Tollywood? Is that Thailand?
No, I think it's another part of India. There's Bollywood for sort of, but it all gets a bit complicated. And I'm not an expert on these movies, but this one I'm going to upload the review to Hysteria Lives probably by the time this podcast comes out, and it's about an NGO, a group of young workers who go to a remote village to assess the needs of the people living there, and there's been some murders in the area, and they're going to get waylaid. They accidentally take magic mushrooms, like you do, while they're hiking, and then they end up in this small hamlet where a series of murders occur. So it's kind of very well shot, but it's kind of one of the problems I find with the movies from the area is that they tend to be quite long. This is like 2 hours, 2+ hours, and 70% of that is kind of travel log of them traveling to this village. So it's a little bit short on thrills. At the end, it comes alive, and it has a couple of catchy song and dance numbers. So if that's your thing, but I'll publish that on there. The other one, did I talk about Severed Arm last time we recorded?
Don't think so.
No, well, Severed Arm is the kind of proto-slasher, which from 1973, and forgive me if I did talk about it last time, I don't remember if I did, is one I've put on Hysteria Lives. It's a kind of proto-slasher in the presumably influenced by Deliverance, about a group of men who go caving to collect some samples from a cave, and then there's a cave-in, and then they end up trapped, and they decide that they won't survive unless they eat part of one of them. So they all take straws, and the unlucky one has his arm chopped off. And the irony of it is they're rescued almost immediately after chopping off this guy's arm. So 5 years later, in classic kind of proto-slasher style, one of them receives a severed arm through the post, and a one-armed killer in a kind of giallo get-up with a hatchet starts stalking them one by one, taking their arms and killing them. So it is, for me, the film is remarkable mostly for what it does before the upcoming slasher movies. In fact, actually, there's a scene in it which I was kind of gobsmacked in, because the famous scene in Black Christmas at the end where Olivia Hussey gets told by the police that the killer's inside the house and to get out, which of course was then co-opted by Fred Wharton's When a Stranger Calls. But in this film from 1973, which full year or two before Black Christmas was released, there's a similar scene where a man radio DJs on taking call-ins, and he gets a call from the police telling him that the person who's been making threatening phone calls is actually in the same building as where he is. So it was clearly, presumably, unless it's complete coincidence, it was lifted for Bob Clark's Black Christmas. But it has so many different. It has lots of nods to seemingly to modern slasher movies, like menacing phone calls from Prom Night, A Murder in the Lift, which kind of pre-shadows the one in Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. So it has a lot of that going on. It's not like the thing for me with proto slashers is you have to always temper your expectations because the template hadn't been set then sometimes films have flashes of what we'd recognise as a slasher movie and then go off in different directions. And this one's not perfect, but it was interesting because it's a kind of a film where it's middle-aged men being menaced by a killer, and definite kind of feels like it definitely had kind of some of those giallo sort of feels to it, including a sort of stalking scene in an underground car park. I think this is one that Vinegar Syndrome put out. It did come out on Blu-ray, and it's one I've always been meaning to catch, and I haven't until now. So Severed Arm, is that one any of you guys have seen?
Yes, has an amazing, I guess, finale or ending, denouement. The way it ends is just great.
It's very that kind of nihilistic 70s kind of ending, isn't it?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, which you don't get. It was kind of peculiar to the 1970s, wasn't it? That slightly ambiguous and nihilistic ending to a movie.
Never.
Yeah, but Mike, have you seen Severed Arm?
I haven't, and now I very much want to. I'm going to make it a point to see that very soon. I know I've seen. I can't remember if Vinegar Syndrome. One of the companies has done it, and it's just one that's been on my list to pick up, but haven't gotten to yet. That sounds amazing, though. I'm going to make it a point to get to that.
Yeah, I think you'd probably enjoy it. I'd say it's temper your expectations because it's kind of quite slow moving, but it hits some of those remarkable kind of notes that seem to preempt quite a lot of what came later. So. Erik, have you seen Severed Arm?
Yes, I have it on a DVD in one of those Brentwood 20 films on 10 discs box sets. So the print is not exactly Vinegar Syndrome quality. I've watched it once, and that was maybe about 15, 20 years ago. So I don't remember a huge amount about it. So I might dig it out and rewatch, even if it is in a full screen, murky VHS print. Okay, well, I'll be interested to see what you think about it. So cool. Okay, well let's find out if Erik is too beautiful to die. I was looking for an English language trailer. The one I found was actually a Japanese trailer which has English language. The rest of them seem to be all in Italian or just all music. So we'll play in with the Japanese trailer for Dario Piano's, and I can already see Erik's joke of the week where this is going to go. Have I called it, Erik? It's not about pianos. You haven't. No, okay. It's nothing to do with pianos. No.
Okay. So
not that predictable.
Okay, we'll come back in after this.
That's her. That's the girl I want. I'll do the best I can, sir.
I'm not asking you for a favor. I'm giving you an order.
Milan's on a par with New York these days. Top models are a dime a dozen.
Jesus, that's gruesome. What is that?
Love is a luxury you don't need. It's more frightening than death.
You throw a party and don't invite any men? That's bizarre.
It's a bullet hole, 22 caliber.
殺人鬼の正体。
Don't you realize we're the only two left from that night?
A knife with several blades they're using as a prop in the music video.
The models of an agency are invited to a party by the owner of the agency. During the party, one of the models gets raped by a powerful guest with help from the other models. Soon the models start to get killed one by one. Models. Yes, that was a kind of the very model crammed synopsis from IMDb.
Yeah. Yeah, it needed an editor, that synopsis.
It did. So I should have read it before I actually read it out. But yes, I mean, arguably it is what it says on the tin. It's models versus murderers, or a murderer. And this is the de facto, or the kind of quasi follow-up to the 1985 Giallo hit from Carlo Vanzina, Nothing Underneath, which was one of the, not the biggest hits in Italy in 1985, but certainly was big enough to generate this sequel, which came kind of belatedly 3 years later. It's a film that I saw many years ago after seeing Nothing Underneath. And whereas Nothing Underneath, which is, we did a commentary for Vinegar Syndrome, and we've covered, I'm pretty sure, we did cover it on the podcast, didn't we? Nothing Underneath.
Yes.
I'm sure we did, yes. So, which is a kind of, was a kind of flashback in some ways to the Dario Argento gialli of the early 1970s, but set in the fashion worlds and to sort of pounding music as well. So it was very much that kind of aesthetic of mid-80s Italy. And the giallo, including Dario Argento, I kind of guess, has long been accused of being style over substance. And Nothing Underneath takes that to its kind of logical extreme. And by the late 80s, the giallo had fragmented in many ways, similarly to what had happened in the United States with the slasher movie turning into the erotic thriller. Is you have this kind of move to a more of a kind of stylized version of a thriller, which takes its cues from certainly in this case from American movies like Flashdance. And also advertising, flashy advertising. So very much style over substance. But is that a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, the film, for me, which essentially, I won't say models, but you have this group of models who, in a bizarre scene, hold down another fellow model so she can be raped by this important businessman at a party, and then she ends up crashing and dying, but the police find that there's a bullet hole in her head, so they realise that she's been murdered rather than just died in a fire accident. And they're shooting this pop video, and it seems to be this mixture. It never quite clear, because they're shooting this pop video to Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Warriors of the Wilderness, is it, or Wildlands?
Wasteland.
Wasteland, that's it. Sorry, it's a mixture of both. But then they also have like photo shoots when they're out on speedboats with big parachute dresses billowing behind them. So it's essentially models in a kind of very vacuous world of fashion and pop music videos. And this killer is killing them off one by one, and it's obviously linked to the death of this original model. And another model turns up from America to replace her, who turns out to have some connection to her. So for me, I think one of the problems for me with Too Beautiful to Die is I very much enjoy the look of it, especially now. I think when I saw it back in the 90s, it looked very dated, that late 80s thing. And the music for me is a strange choice. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, I get. Kissing the Pink, I get. But Huey Lewis and the News, it seemed a bit strange. Choice, and Toto as well. They seem strange choices for like a high-end fashion giallo. Is the pacing's a little bit off, but I enjoy the kind of campery of the first half. And actually, coming into the second half of the movie, it's pretty effective, the suspense. The revelation of the killer, I think, is pretty well done, although as unlikely as it could be. So, it's I've got more to say about it, but obviously, Mike, I know you asked specifically for us to cover this movie, so I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts are on it.
I love Too Beautiful to Die, and the double feature that Vinegar Syndrome did with Nothing Underneath and Too Beautiful to Die. I got it specifically for Nothing Underneath because it is one that a lot of people who know my taste, you're gonna love Nothing Underneath, and so got it specifically for that. Knew you guys did commentary on that. I always pick up the movies you guys do commentary. I just keep gassing you guys up, sorry about that. but I always do love it. And then flipped it over to Too Beautiful to Die. That, first of all, the cover with the weapon and the mask and the sunglasses, right away I was like, oh, I think I'm excited about this one too. And I read your review, Justin, when I went to rewatch it for this episode, and in the review you said something where about the first half of the movie you'd be forgiven if you forgot this was a giallo, and I was like, is that true? I don't really remember. Then I was like, oh yeah, there basically is no kills. There's definitely no kills on camera for the first half of the movie. And I'd forgotten that, honestly, because what I love about this movie is the style and is the look and is this making of the video, which again is confusing because they keep referring to the song as Blades in the movie, and they never say that what the band is, and the band's not in the movie. So it's not like Frankie Goes to Hollywood is in this video. It's this video of these models and dancers doing this to this insane post-apocalyptic video, which what would post-apocalyptic movies, especially Italian post-apocalyptic movies and visions, be without American football shoulder pads?
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, Justin, the opening segment to this movie, which culminates in this slow motion hot tub rape, is so insane because there's 4 or 5 models who bring in this new model Sylvia and bring her to this party, and with the seemingly the purpose of this party was for this wealthy old dude to basically rape her in this hot tub, and they're all participating in it, which anytime there's that element of the models or the women helping out with this rape, that adds that extra sleaze element to it. And just the shot of it in slow-mo is so crazy. And then it just goes from there into this hyper stylized making of the video, scenes of the models. That Huey Lewis scene on the speedboats is just so insane. And again, that song especially stands out as like what an odd choice. But overall it has just that Miami Vice feel with the music and the look. And I'm a big fan of Miami Vice. When the murders do start, it is really effective, and there's some incredible chase scenes in this movie. 2 in particular that are real standouts, and you do feel like all of a sudden you're lulled into this sense of you're watching some like a behind the scenes making of a video or an episode of Miami Vice, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into the final half of the movie, which is pretty effective chases in giallo, and I love the mask and the killer's outfit, and of course the weapons, right? And the main weapon that's used, because they have these strange, crazy looking art weapons that are made for the video. And as they say right in the beginning, that they actually are sharp and real, which I don't know why you'd have that made for a music video, but luckily they did, so that we have this movie. And the weapon is just so striking and so strange that it is a real standout. The models themselves are great too. I mean, they go from this totally brutal gang rape scene to goofing around as they get the new roommate, as Melanie, the new model after Sylvia's been killed, comes in, and they have this montage where they're just goofing around, and they pick up a weird big telephone and they're laughing with each other, And so 1 minute they're participating in this really brutal scene, and then the next minute they're goofing around together. The club scene with that Kissing the Pink song is totally insane. I love Italo Disco as well. And it just has that just 80s sheen to it. That's fantastic. And, you know, like any good giallo, there's red herring upon red herring. And you think you know who the killer is, and then you think you know, and then you think you know. And I think the reveal is pretty effective. I'm terrible at guessing the killer, and I don't even try to. I just like movies I just let it happen. But this one, and a lot of times with giallo, even if I've seen one and then watch it a year later, a lot of times I will forget who the killer is and get surprised even on multiple viewings. But this one I always do remember. There's something that stands out to me about it. And, you know, like we said, that first half, there's not, you know, any on-screen kills. But these days, I don't know about you guys, but I sort of find that with slashers and giallo, but slashers especially, I get more into the non-slashing elements, like a movie like Final Exam. I just I'm down to hang out with Radish and Wildman for hours and hours, and then the killing, I almost, at this point, I'm almost like, oh yeah, there's that too. But you know, we could go back and hang out, you know, with these characters, you know. So I sort of get into that part of slasher movies even more so nowadays, the non-killing parts. But luckily here, that last half is full of some really good chase scenes, good kill scenes, and I think it's a very effective late 80s giallo with that great late 80s sheen. And I'm really happy that there's this great version of it, and has certainly become a big favorite of mine in recent years.
Excellent. Well, thanks for your thoughts. It is interesting. Actually, it's funny what you say about the revisiting old film slasher movies and actually enjoying spending time with the characters, because I think possibly unless you're a film like Friday the 13th where you've got those kind of over-the-top gore effects, there's something to be said for revisiting those characters. And I think partly because you kind of know what's going to happen with the thriller elements, so they're less effective than when you see it maybe for the first time. So actually kind of reconnecting those characters, I can definitely see where you're coming from. And one thing I just wanted to pick up on, actually, very quickly before I pass over to Joseph and Erik, was that it only occurred to me when you mentioned about Frankie Goes to Hollywood, you know, obviously the song Warriors of the Wasteland, but of course they'd been appeared in Body Double, hadn't they, the Brian De Palma movie, doing Relax. So I know that the director Dario Piana was kind of saying that his main influence wasn't Brian De Palma, but I wondered if there was supposed to be that kind of connection, or maybe that, you know, hope there would be that kind of, the audience would see some kind of connection with Frankie Goes to Hollywood, who were kind of, to be honest, pretty much past their prime by 1988. But yeah, so interesting. But no, thanks, Mike. We'll come back to you. But I'd see what Erik, what were your thoughts on Too Beautiful to Die?
I really like this one, actually. I think it's in many ways an equal to Nothing Underneath, which I'm a huge fan of as well. There's definitely more of a pop video vibe to this one, whereas I think probably Nothing Underneath is more successful as a slasher movie. But I love the way the film pauses for maybe 2 or 3 minutes at a time to give us a kind of pop video moment, you know, because we don't get sort of like a 20-second snippet of a song. We get sort of, you know, almost the song in full. And I love the Frankie Goes to Hollywood song. And I'm a huge fan of Kissing the Pink, which it sounds a bit rude, I know, but they're one of my favourite sort of obscure British pop groups of the 80s. Toto and Huey Lewis, yeah, they do stand out a bit. I mean, the Toto one is okay because it's during a love scene, so it kind of works. But the Huey Lewis one is, yeah, it does kind of stick out like a sore thumb. But I was surprised at how much sort of popular commercial music they've crammed into this film, because I'm so used to Euro horror movies just using sort of bottom of the barrel stuff like maybe Susie and the Banshees or The Creatures, where they can get for tuppence halfpenny.
How dare you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the Demons films, maybe it was just unusual to hear kind of commercial pop songs out, within an Italian 80s genre cinema. I do love that opening scene though, where they're dancing to what sounds like "Slave to Love," and they've got those masks on. Because I think Grace Jones did. There's a video of Grace Jones singing "Private Life" on I think it's a US show, and she's wearing a kind of a mask of herself. And it's quite realistic looking, and then she sort of removes it halfway through, and it's kind of similar to the masks in this. And I suppose one of my complaints, if I have one for Too Beautiful to Die, is I think the mask of the killer is so effective. He has kind of a crystallized type thing going on where he or she, no spoilers, is wearing a mask of a model. It's kind of semi-realistic looking, but it's quite creepy and detached looking, almost like the emotionless mask of Michael Myers a bit. But we don't get to see a huge amount of it in this film. It's only towards the end we get to see the killer with the mask. Otherwise, it's just sort of feet or hands we see. The other thing, we were talking about the glory of Toya just recently, and the Warriors of the Wasteland shoot. Yeah, like you, Mike, I was confused as to what is Blades? Is Blades a band? Is Blades a song? Why are they dancing to a song by Frankie Goes to Hollywood but calling it Blades? It was all very strange, but I didn't mind. I thought the video looked great, but they're dressed like Toya in her classic 1983 image for Love Is the Law, that album, which is that sort of futuristic, as you were saying, American football shoulder pad type look. So yeah, it's totally ripping off Toya, which, I mean, most people would want to do because she's so iconic, but that's it.
I thought she was dressed as a punk Wurzel Gummidge back in 1983.
How rude. She's a rude, Justin. Sometimes you take things too far.
Thank you. And if you don't know, for our American listeners, Wurzel Gummidge was a comedy scarecrow.
Scarecrow that came to life, yeah.
I'm so glad I got that explained to me, by the way.
I've lost my train of thought now, Justin, after all that bullying. Oh yeah, one of the other things I noticed about this is structurally it doesn't really have a final girl. It does have a final girl, but we're not really introduced to her until quite late into the film, really. I mean, there's the three main model characters that survive after, Sylvia is killed off at the start. So you got Leslie, Michelle, and Lauren. And the focus shifts to Leslie for a bit. We get to see her prancing her. I love that montage scene, Mike, where they have the oversized telephone and they're bopping each other on the head with it. And it's all very lighthearted and very, very silly. But once Leslie's killed off, it moves on to Michelle, and then Michelle's killed off, and then finally we rest on Lauren, and she gets her moment in the spotlight and kind of ends up as the final girl, although we have no real idea who she is up until maybe an hour into the film. That's certainly how I felt watching it. It seemed to move from model to model to model without really setting up the three of them from the very start. But other than that, I really, really liked it. I thought the use of music was great. I mean, it was funny when Huey Lewis starts playing over that speedboat sequence, but any film that has Kissing the Pink in it gets extra 2 stars for me. So yeah, I mean, it is very pop video-ish, kind of shallow and vacuous, but not, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I love kind of 80s pop video type films. I mean, I'm a big fan of Flashdance and The Hunger and that type of filmmaking, which kind of got dissed by the critics for being a bit empty, but I particularly like it. So, and I thought the murder weapon was terrific. As you said, I mean, why they would want to create real sharp blades for this music video when it probably would have been not just safer but probably a lot cheaper just to make sort of plastic props. But hey-ho, it's put to good use in the film. So yeah, a thumbs up for me for Too Beautiful to Die. I think it's marginally lesser than Nothing Underneath, but only marginally for me.
Okay, well, thank you, Erik. Unfortunately, we had a few technical issues to start off with that the intro I did, the others couldn't hear, so you'll hear it at the beginning. But you did. I wondered if you noted the towards the end when the commissioner, the head police. A policeman runs up to him and says, "I've got photos of Alex Conti for you."
What's he trying to say?
His name is Alex Conti.
Oh,
he says it in quite a strong accent, and he says, "I've got photos of Alex Conti for you," which is in the intro. You might do if you want to listen back, but because I think the film was shot in English as well, so it's probably people maybe not who didn't speak English, where some of them were speaking it. But Joseph, what are your thoughts on Too Beautiful to Die?
Oh my God, you just know this movie was storyboarded. There's no way that they just kind of shot this on the fly. It's so over stylized, like with direction. Every single scene has some kind of stylistic element going on. Even something kind of like, monotonous, like a girl standing in a shot or a guy walking to a door. There's always something going on out of frame. So you just know that they storyboarded this movie. Even the sex scene with that "I Won't Hold You Back" by Toto, which was so bizarre. Like, she's writhing on top of this guy, and they wait till the crescendo of the song where he's like, "No, I won't hold you back now." And then she does the hair flip at the exact right moment. And I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, the plot of this movie is just so threadbare and non-existent. But I'm getting a kick out of how stylized all of this is. It's like a Miami Vice episode, or it really reminded me of something like Amsterdam, which is also kind of a late 80s kind of stylistic cop thriller slasher. Not a giallo, but very similar. Both movies are just so stylized and like hyper realistic. You have a director here who just is so in love with the camera. You're always going to be entertained no matter what's going on, or even with a lack of plot moving. There's always something going on visually. So it's a very striking movie in that way, and I had a lot of fun with it. I didn't have much fun with the plot. I felt it kind of meandered a lot throughout the middle portion. I thought Nothing Underneath kept up with the whole model world a lot more effectively. I just didn't feel that connected to anyone here. When the murders do start, I think they're kind of, sensational. I love that murder weapon. It's kind of samey with all stabs, but it's all very bloody and very stylized, as I said. Too Beautiful to Die. I prefer Nothing Underneath. I think it's just overall a better film, but this one is just so stylistically full of itself that you will get a kick out of it either way. So a thumb sideways from me.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think it's it's a lot to say style over substance, but I think that's part of the point, really. I mean, you could argue that it's in the same way. It's interesting that Nothing Underneath was written based on a book which was a scathing indictment of the fashion industry as being vapid and morally bankrupt. So much so that only one upcoming fashion house would allow their clothes to be used in the film because they saw it as an attack on the fashion industry. So if you were trying to read into it, you could say Too Beautiful to Die was kind of a further attack on the fashion industry as being incredibly vapid. But I don't know really if that it really came into being, really, because I know Dario Piana, the director, was saying that it was a highly commercial movie. It was meant to be a commercial movie. I'm not sure not much thought, but certainly I don't think necessarily a great deal of subtext was added to the movie. But well, let's talk a little bit about background. So, Mike, do you want to go first? Have you managed to dig anything up for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I have some background here, and right away, the first thing you see in the movie is this giant pair of red lips. It's the very first shot in the movie, right as the credits roll, and it's this red lips couch, and so it sets the tone immediately, and I love that. And that couch in particular, that design, was a Mae West lips sofa, and the Mae West lips were designed by Salvador Dali. And so right away you get this crazy stylized lip sofa, and I love that it's inspired by Mae West, which is just extra fantastic.
Just as an aside, I've actually seen that sofa in real life at Salvador Dali's house in Spain.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Love that. The movie was actually originally supposed to take place in America. And there was a whole screenplay written that basically was scrapped. But it was inspired by, or parts of it at least, were inspired by Southern Comfort. And the movie's finale was supposed to be in the Florida Everglades. So what a different movie that would have been, I feel like. And it sounds like the original script is very different.
So would that have still been with models? It sounds more like a Claudia Jennings type film.
I think so, though, yeah, because I think it was totally originally written as a direct sequel featuring relations to the brother that's in Nothing Underneath, with using the name Crane, which is the guy's name in his last name in Nothing Underneath. So what an odd thing, but maybe Florida maybe also inspired by something like Miami Vice. So which obviously in 1988 or whenever this was written, 87 or 86 or whatever, obviously Miami Vice was like the biggest show. So yeah, shot in Milan in 1988 with parts in Rome, but mostly on the set and in that warehouse. And even David's set, the place he lives, this crazy loft that's super stylized and converted with inflatable furniture, clear inflatable furniture, which I don't know how that ever was really a thing. So there's a reason this movie looks very commercial, as far as like looks like a commercial, especially the Huey Lewis section. Dario Piano mostly did commercials, and I think that's pretty much what he still does, advertising and commercials. He didn't do a ton of movies, but he did do in 2010 a Lost Boys sequel, Lost Boys: The Thirst, which I have not seen. I'll definitely get some of these actual names pronounced wrong, but the actress that played Sylvia, Giacomo Scola, and I'm again certainly pronouncing that wrong. She was implicated in a crazy big drug dealing scandal. It actually sort of ruined her acting career, and it was this trial that went on forever, and it involved like famous athletes, I think. It was like this big scandal, and she was eventually acquitted in 2007. But that's how long this all went on. And so that sort of stalled her acting career. She was in Raiders of Atlantis, which is a great one. I don't know if you guys seen that one.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, so good. As well as Conquest. She's in Conquest. Lucio Fulci's. So it's just a crazy story, right? Just this big, crazy drug dealing scandal. I don't know the exact details. So yeah, Melanie Florence Guerin, she's a French actress. She was in a car crash in 1988 that killed her 5-year-old son. So another dark story coming from someone in this movie. And again, that she was obviously affected her life and didn't go on to do much more acting after that, as far as I could tell. Leslie, whose name, her name is Nora. Actually, I didn't write down her last name. She was Miss Singapore in 1987, and she was a model on a cover girl. And the women in this movie were all models as well in real life, and a lot of them did go on to act in other things. Michelle did not. She's the only one that this was her only movie. Lauren, whose real name is Randy Ingerman, was also in The Two Jakes, the sequel to Chinatown, as well as an episode of Miami Vice. So there is that. David Francois Gendron is his name, was a French actor who's in one of my favorite Christmas movies, Dial Code Santa Claus. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I'm aware of it, but I've not seen it yet.
I think it would be a good one to pick for Patreon for Christmas time, because I think, Erik, you'd really like it.
It's a really cool, odd one. And then he is also in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. There was apparently a short making of film that was included in the UK VHS version in the 90s, which I couldn't come up with or find. Did you guys see that at all?
No, it's interesting. No, I didn't. I did see it on video back then, but I can't remember. I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that. That is the background that I have for Too Beautiful to Die.
Excellent. Well, very, very comprehensive, Mike. So thank you. Erik, do you have anything else to add?
No, apart from the fact that Kissing the Pink's Certain Things Are Likely song is also in Can't Buy Me Love. And they also have their song One Step is on the soundtrack to, I'm trying to remember, is it Primal Rage? The late 80s Italian movie?
Yeah, I love Primal Rage. That's a great movie. It always reminded you. I had to look up to make sure it wasn't Dead or Alive. It sounded like they sounded quite like Dead or Alive, or was that just me?
Yeah, this was the third album, so they'd gone kind of electro at that stage. They were more of I suppose they were more of an indie type group before that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joseph. Have you got anything to add?
Yes, everything Erik and Mike just said, I had it written down. So.
Gotcha.
Excellent. Well, glad. And I know Nathan would follow suit with that. So, so I'm just going to, at risk of repeating what you said. Apparently the working title was Blade, which may sort of tie into the whole Blades thing with the knives, the ornate knives that they had. I think you obviously mentioned that they had that. I think the Vanzina brothers, Carlo Vanzina, who directed Nothing Underneath. Originally, I think they had written a script, or they were involved in this, but they didn't want to direct it. So they got Dario Piana, who, as you mentioned, had been kind of come from the advertising sector, and somewhat ironically, wasn't it Dario Argento went on from doing films to actually directing commercials? So he went in a slightly different direction. He directed some quite sort of striking commercials for a number of companies in the 80s. So there was definitely, and I think the interview with Dario Piana, and if you haven't picked up the Vinegar Syndrome double feature, then it's definitely worth doing so. But there's quite a lengthy interview with him on there, and he was saying about how in the 80s at this point there were very much these films that advertising became like mini movies, and movies themselves were very much influenced by advertising, and certainly people like Ridley Scott and Tony Scott and people like that, Adrian Lyne, those kind of movies that were being made around the time. And I think he said he had more influence by them than Brian De Palma. He sort of said that almost the thriller elements kind of wrote themselves. And he was very put off by the critical reception to the movie, which he said was very stylized and very commercial. And not necessarily film, I think he fell into making it rather than necessarily something he would have organically made. When I dug up some of the interviews, and I included some of these from the review I've got in Hysteria Lives, but just to repeat some of them, it said in November 1988, La Stampa newspaper called it confused and suggested the Giallo cycle was at the end and no longer worth talking about, which kind of is not fair, but I imagine the Giallo has kind of, it's never had a major renaissance, I don't think. I think actually Nothing Underneath was its kind of last big hooray, unless anyone can think of another film that was, kind of captured the zeitgeist. I know it was actually quite successful. Apparently it was the 38th highest grossing film in Italy that year. So it's actually made more money and had more people go to see it than either A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 or Beetlejuice of that year. So it was financially successful. Dario Piana said he was the critics stung him so much he didn't make movies for quite a long time. But one thing I loved, some of the ballyhoo, the press ballyhoo around the movie that was put out by the Italian press. They kind of suggested that the models, the actresses, were tricked into appearing in the movie.
Justin, you at the Speedway today?
Yeah. What?
All the cars in the background.
I know there's some arseholes on motorbikes going up the roads at the background. So it's usually it's got quite warm here, so I've got the door open. But yes, there's some suggestion that the models were tricked into it. And there's a piece from an Italian newspaper said direction and production flew for kilometres in order to secure top models of the moment from the United States, Singapore and Mozambique, then forgetting to warn them that they were not shooting the usual commercial but a feature film, which seems very unlikely that you would be able to trick a group of models into appearing in a feature film if they didn't know they were going to be doing that. So what else was there? The couple of you mentioned some of the other things that people involved. One other tragedy was which one was it? It was Raddy Ingerman, who was the American model who was only 19 when she made this, and she'd come from America because she was considered too short in America, but became a successful fashion model in Italy. But she had a tragedy where she suffered a miscarriage after falsely being told that her husband had been unfaithful on an Italian TV prank show.
That is nuts.
That is nuts, isn't it? So, it's a kind of, well, yes, it's a very sort of dark thing. But, so I think there were kind of some of the other, again, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Goya Scola. She went on to some of the films that I've not seen yet, but I've got an interest in seeing them. Some Jali, there's Evil Senses. She was in Evil Senses before this in 1986. And Obsession, A Taste for Fear, which I've seen in the books, the Giallo books which I've got right here, by
Troy Howarth?
Troy Howarth, of course, yes, the Troy Howarth. And he talks Obsession, A Taste of Fear. I think he talks about being sort of similarly kind of vapid, but very stylish. So I think going into the later 80s, you had this whole thing, the Giallo seemed to splinter into more extreme sexuality and violence, like films like Giallo of Venezia, and there's a number of other ones where the violence was upped. But it seems with these ones they moved much more into slightly more kind of glossy, sort of stylized things, and I think that kind of went into the 80s until eventually it kind of became possibly so vapid it just evaporated. But it's interesting in the interview with the director on the disc, and he says about how Spain was able to reinvent itself and sort of shake off the shackles of the past, and produce a lot of recent, over the last 15 years or so, sort of distinctive genre movies, whereas Italy has struggled to do so. So it'd be great to see more Gialli coming out of Italy at some point, because I'm sure they could still make a good Giallo. But just the last thing I was going to say, out of interest, have you guys seen the third one, which got Richard E. Grant in it?
What is it called?
I'm trying to remember. It's here it is, The Last Fashion Show.
I did. I watched it when we were doing research for the commentary track for Nothing Underneath. I remember it being okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just not very memorable, and it was Carlo Vanzina who directed the Nothing Underneath. He made that, but if you're a completist, then it's worth a watch. Joseph, what was the consensus on the group for Too Beautiful to Die?
23 comments overall for Too Beautiful to Die. Andreas Pearson and Dell writes, "I love this movie! ! I love the fashion gladiators, the silly and over-stylized weapon, and the Commodore 64 porno game that the one dude is playing. We did not mention that. Yeah.
What is that game, and how? It's called Porno Game, first of all, which is that's what it's called. It's Porno Game, and what is that? What are the different levels? I have so many questions about Porno Game.
Yes, and I don't know if it was I wonder if it was a real game or if it was.
It looked like it might be. It might have been one of those kind of independent games. Who knows? Maybe the director just filmed a scene because he wanted it to be stylized. I don't know. But Andreas goes on to say, it's a super fun and charming movie! ! I actually like it way more than Nothing Underneath. But he only used a period there, so. Gary Yoon says, after really enjoying Nothing Underneath, I was eager to see the follow-up. I don't think it had half the entertainment of the first. One watch was enough, while I'll watch Nothing Underneath many more times. I guess he did not care as much for Too Beautiful to Die as he did Nothing Underneath, but he did not use a period or exclamation marks. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date on all that we're doing. Listen on Amazon, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and about 1 billion other podcatchers, both good and terrible. Join us on Patreon for as little as $1 per month to help support the show. Or, if you're financially inclined, select a tier that fits your budget for the extra monthly bonus content. That's patreon.com/The Hysteria Continues, all one word. And that goes for our email address as well. The Hysteria Continues @gmail.com. Justin Kurzweil, if you please.
Okay, well, thank you, Joseph. And we have some feedback coming up after this, and I do apologise in advance, Mike.
It's my joke of the week. It's so freaking fantastic.
So why did Toto agree to be on the soundtrack of Too Beautiful to Die? Because they wanted to get their foot in the door of the Italian market Toto.
Oh my God.
Oh God, man.
that was bad, wasn't it? Yeah. That was...
Justin couldn't play any sound effects. So I'm going to have to overlay some car crash.
Oh yeah, I did play one, but it didn't. Oh, you can't hear them, can you?
No.
Oh man, I was really looking forward to the joke of the week. It might be the thing I was looking forward to the most. But I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel. That was...
Eric's about to jump out of a window again.
I'm perilously close.
If you could play the sound of a deflating balloon to sort of match Eric's dignity disappearing.
Wow.
There's no need for you all to be so cruel.
Hey, before you do the feedback, I want to gas you guys up one more time. And anybody listening who is not a patron, you got to change that. Every month, there's so much stuff. The extra episodes, the off-piste episodes are some of my favorite, actually, when you guys do non-horror movies, Brady Bunch movies. I'm waiting for Miami Connection. I don't think you guys have done that one, but definitely got to do that. The commentaries are incredible. And honestly, I'll listen to some of the commentaries even if I don't have the movie. Like Iced, I don't obviously, it's a hard one to get, but they play just like episodes. You could actually just listen to them. So have to say, anyone listening who's not on the Patreon, you are missing out. So I have to say, sign up for this Hysteria Continues Patreon. They are not paying me to do this.
Well, thank you. I did want to mention the off-piste. We took a break from it this year because we got a lot of listener choices that are all horror, so we'll probably get back to it maybe next year because there are a couple of extras that I still want to talk about, mostly 80s action movies that we could not talk about anywhere else.
So and God knows, Joseph, you've shoehorned in a few
I've tried
non-slasher titles in the past, but no, thank you, Mike, that's very, very kind of you. And,
yes, thank you.
Thank you. So okay, well, we've got some feedback, haven't we? So
yes.
Do you want to go first, Erik?
Yeah, if I can just find it here. Okay, this is from Eddie. And you'll like this one, Justin. He says, "Hi guys, just a short one from a long-time listener who has finally plucked up the courage to email the show. Have you considered the 1972 British horror flick Deathline for the show, also known as Raw Meat in the US? This is a dark and atmospheric movie set in the London Underground, which has a few slasher tropes, and also stars a pre-Halloween Donald Pleasance, not to mention a small cameo by Christopher Lee, and was directed by Gary Sherman of Dead and Buried fame. Blue Underground put out a decent Blu-ray of this a few years back, and I believe it's worth a look for slasher fans. That's not the bit you'll like, Justin. This is the bit you'll like. On a side note, my wife is a huge Toya fan, and over the past few years... well, I'm not making this up. And over the past few years has dragged me to not one but two of her live concerts, the last of which was held at the gorgeous Buxton Opera House in Derbyshire. Thanks for the great work, guys, which keeps me entertained for hours at work. Regards, Eddie." Well, Eddie, your wife has exceptional taste in music.
Why would Justin like that email?
Yeah, and also I did notice that Eddie said he was dragged to see her. Doesn't really sound consensual to me.
It's very drag me to hell.
Yes. Well, I have, talking of Deathline, is it Deathline? But it was known in the United States as Raw Meat. And I have seen it quite a few times. I remember it used to play on the BBC back in the 80s on the horror double bill, Friday night horror double bill. So I have seen it quite a few times. And I agree, it definitely has that kind of some slasher tropes. And it was semi kind of remade as Creep, wasn't it, with Franca Palente? If I'm remembering her name right. What? What?
Oh.
What?
That's not her name.
It's not her name, is it? What is her name?
Famke something. Famke Janssen or something, is it her?
No, it's Palente. I thought it was Palente.
Are you talking about Franca Potente?
Potente.
Oh,
it was something.
Right. It is Franca Potente. Oops.
Yes, Erik.
You just made a complete jackass of yourself, Erik.
It wouldn't be the first time today.
No, you have. Ploppy head.
So the first time there was a laugh on this show, and it was just Eric's expense. So anyway, I have one here, and this is from a long-time listener, and one we haven't heard from, and we were wondering what had happened to. So I'll let you know who that is at the end of this. It says, "Hey there, Joseph, Justin, Erik, and Nathan. It's been so long since I last got in touch. Well, actually, I did email way back in March 2021, but like a doofus, I used the wrong email address. Anyway, I still listen to all your episodes, and I'm also almost caught up. Last few years have been a bit manic, pandemic aside, life has been so busy, and whilst I'm still working from home, I still never seem to have much spare time, aside from watching my favourite movies and shows, of course. Recent favourites have been Barbarian, Evil Dead Rise, Fall of the House of Usher, and Totally Killer. Whilst it's taken me a while to catch up, you never fail to raise a smile, and I have enjoyed all your episodes, including your infamous drunk cast. As I said, I did get in touch back in 2021 at the height of the pandemic, and was gutted when I didn't hear my feedback, only to realise my stupid mistake. A hopefully fun idea to throw out to you all would be a Desert Island Discs episode. Justin and Erik will know what I'm on about. It would be fantastic to know which one movie, book, and album you would have on your desert island. Which is a good idea, isn't it? We could do that for a special show, for like an anniversary show. We make a note of that, so I think that's a good idea.
Toya's autobiography, Toya's greatest hits, and Toya in Quadrophenia.
Yeah, Drag Me to Hell indeed. So, he says, mine would be Halloween, original, naturally. Jaws, Memoirs from Martha's Vineyard. He said, in inverted brackets, incredible. Is that for the Jaws? Oh, Jaws Memoirs from Martha's Vineyard.
Making of Jaws.
Yeah. And the Pet Shop Boys' greatest hits. Loved them since I was a teenager. Of course, I might sneak Toya's greatest hits into the mix. Fun fact, my late brother met her a few times as they mixed in similar circles back in the day. Anywho, I sincerely hope that you and yours are well, and I'm sending big hugs and best wishes. I've no favourites between your team, but do have a soft spot for Erik. I nearly fainted when I thought he would leave Inga forever. Take care. All best wishes, Tosca Top Socks.
Oh, Tosca Top Socks.
Yay.
And then Eric's Jokes of the Week rock.
See?
But funny enough, the email address on the thing, it says from Erik Threlfall at gmail.com.
You just doxed Erik.
No, I nearly gave that his email address, but I remembered I haven't, did I? Because I wouldn't give your work email address out, Erik.
No.
Why do you have his work email address, Justin?
Because that's where that's what I send sound clips on, and pictures of Toya.
Yeah, so whenever Erik sends me anything, there's usually a picture of Toya, which luckily my spam filter usually edits out. So, okay, right. Well, we're coming to the end, I can guess. So, what are we covering next time?
Yes, next time we have another special guest on the show. We're bringing back a guest of yore. Michael Ferrari is going to be joining us, and we're going to be discussing 1994's incredibly dated, I imagine, Brain Scan, the computer
love that
game
one.
Thingy starring Edward Furlong.
It is so 90s. Oh my God, it's so 90s, but I love it. I think it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. I'm trying to think. I may have seen that. I can't remember. But it will be always good to have Mr. Ferrari back on the show, so aka Meep. So yeah, look forward to that. But Mike, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, for your enthusiasm and for choosing this movie.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed Too Beautiful to Die, and it's been a blast talking to you guys about it.
Well, thank you, Mike, and we'll be playing out, I think, with not Huey Lewis in the News. I wouldn't do that to you, or Toya. None of that kind of riffraff from the 80s.
Toto.
So I'd say, not Toto either, but it has to be Frank Costa Hollywood's Warriors of the Wasteland, I think. So, well, thank you for listening to Hysteria Continues. So say goodbye to the good people.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Warriors!